welcome to week 15 of RBL Weekly. We are about halfway through the season. We've got a bunch of great battles to watch today. I'm excited to do it. And joining me, as always, not as always, back after a 1 week absence. It was tough flying solo last week. I'm glad to have the host and creator of the roast battle, Brian Moses, in the house.
I'm only here to hear and read what you geeks have to say about my outfit. This is Summertime Moses. We just launched the Patreon. Patreon launched yesterday. You guys saw a bunch of cool shit. So, you know, I'm taking it easy this week. You know, I'm back. Took a week off last week. Got some things mixed up. I'm also black, so my timing isn't always punctual. So here I am in shorts. Have at it.
Yeah, this is a gift from Moses directly to you guys. He knows you're going to roast him. He's like, I'll just pull up in shorts. I made the shorts mistake once, never again.
Don't ever do the shorts. Yeah. I got Chucks. I got AM/FM. So, you know, roast me away. We're going to try to toss it to our skate wheel company, AM/FM, so we can get some more gear for some of our battlers. So have at it, fellas. And one lady. I don't know if any ladies watch this.
There's some ladies.
Yeah? Not just incels?
Shout out to Brittany. Brittany. No, that's I told you I recorded a Father's Day message for her husband today. She hit me up and said, "Hey, can you do this thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And I had to write roast jokes about some dude I've never met before. I did like a little cameo thing.
I didn't know ladies could be incels too. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you.
She's happily married.
Yeah, she's not having sex. When you're married, you don't have sex.
That's true. Confirm. Yeah. Anyway, let's shout out to all of our fans out there. If you guys don't, let's touch on the Patreon real quick, because if you're watching this Tuesday, it launched yesterday. If you're not on there yet, here's what you can get. Any tier, if you join any level of the Patreon, starting with our undercard tier, you have access right now to the first 2 episodes of the Netflix is a Joke Festival. That's the entire first round of the tournament. Night 1 from the Belly Room with special guest judges Jimmy Carr, Tony Hinchcliffe, Jeff Ross. Post Malone popped in there at one point. Sam J, Brian Simpson, and for some reason me.
Mike Lawrence.
Yeah, he was there. A lot of judges. Maybe too many, some would say. But that was night 1 of the tournament. Night 2 was at Outside Joke. And there we were joined by Nikki Glazer and Steph Tolev. Some absolutely great battles. The rest of the nights are going to be coming out in the next 2 weeks on the Patreon. So if you join now, you can watch the first 2, and the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals all still to come. Also, the Mothership Show, the most recent Mothership Show, which is going to be dropping on YouTube this Thursday. I want to misrepresent anything. You can wait it out for here on Thursday, but if you want to watch it right now, it's available on the Patreon, uncensored, early, which is what we're going to be doing with a lot of our content. We also have a bunch of other cool bonus stuff up there. I did a bonus pod where I told the story of my battle with Eli. In season 3, Eli's a guy, Eli Sayers. We get more questions about him. He's like the Bobby Fischer of roast battle, yeah. Right? Child prodigy, disappeared. Nobody knows if he's even alive. I get so many questions from like old Roastmasters fans about Eli. So I wanted to talk about that. If you watch right now, you find out what a higher up within the roast battle community wanted me to do for that battle that I refused. It sounds like a Harvey Weinstein thing when I say it out loud. No, this feels
like the Book of Eli. It feels like a whole new podcast you're doing right now about the whereabouts. So where is Eli Sayers?
Yeah, eventually, if we get enough patrons, we're going to put the money towards, we're going to find them. Okay. So that's going to be our first Patreon goal. Help us find Eli Sayers. We're going to go on a mission. But no, I tell the full story of that battle. It was a couple years in the making. What happened, why we were supposed to be on TV, and then we got kicked off of TV, and why my wife, to this day, still wants to physically assault Eli Sayers. For that full story, you got to check out the Patreon.
That's a great Father's Day story, too.
Yeah, right?
It really is, actually. That's a really good father. That was your son's first time on TV.
That was.
And you guys had the same amount of credits at that time.
That's correct. Yeah. Still,
shout out the young Barker.
Yeah, exactly.
That kid's a legend.
Yeah, he's turned 7 in 6 days.
Oh, man.
I know.
He's going to start roasting.
Crazy. It's crazy. But it's a really cool story. I'm going to be doing these bonus pods. I'm going to be bringing other people in on them called Beers and Battles, where we just have a couple drinks and we tell stories behind some crazy roast battle stuff. Doesn't have to be, it could be Brady roast or Baldwin roast or whatever.
Getting your Roaring Kitty on from Dumb Money. You ever see that guy?
No.
Okay, so Roaring Kitty is he'll have a beer. You ever hear Stonks, right? the whole GameStop thing.
Oh, right. Yeah,
This is the guy. Yeah. Paul Dano played him in that movie, Dumb Money.
Okay.
Yeah, he wears like a bandana. He drinks beers. The Tindy master dumps his chicken tenders and champagne when the stock gets above.
Right, you're speaking a completely different language.
Sorry
right
about
now.
that. I'm talking about Dumb Money. Game stonks.
All I know is I got in on the GameStop thing like 3 months after it was done. I put in $50 and it's down to like $1.03 or something. Typical GameStop fashion. It's worth way less than when you came, when you first bought it.
For folks who know Roy and Kitty, he likes the battle.
Again, I hope this is hitting with you guys. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, but check out the Patreon. Very affordable tiers to get in on. We appreciate the support of the community. I really want to make this a community-driven thing. If you're watching this, you're one of our super fans, so there's a lot of cool stuff for you there, and come check it out. I guarantee you'll enjoy it. All right, let's get into this week's battles. It is week 15 of the season. I don't want to waste any more time. As always, battles 7, 6, and 5 we do not watch here in the studio. We will be back with our analysis after battle 5 for the top 4. So, number 7 battle of the week comes to us from a place that is only making their second appearance of the season. I'm talking about Australia.
What?
Australia makes the countdown this week. And by the way, last thing on the Patreon, every week battles 8, 9, and 10 that don't quite make the list will be available on the Patreon for the main event and Hall of Flame tiers. Australia was in that group last week. So this is 2 weeks in a row. They've at least been top 10. You can see their week 14 battle right now in the Patreon. Their week 15 battle comes in at number 7. And let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. It is Gavin Semple versus Jess Pearman. Here it is.
Thank you. Thank you for taking some time away from chemo to be here tonight, Gavin. The hospital called. Everyone went into remission when you left.
Thank you, Reese, with a spoonful of crack. Jess's dad died in a bike crash when she was young, which explains her daddy issues. The issue when she crashes and burns, she wakes up the next morning.
If I was Reese with a spoon on crack, would I be this fat? No. You should have chosen a better drug. Anyway, I'll write your jokes for you. It's okay. Gavin had a rough start to life with his mum smoking 2 packs a day while she was pregnant with him. But he's actually had a lot of success, not with comedy, obviously, but he's had success being the voice for autism that no one asked for. And playing Brian on the back of cigarette packets.
That was good. Wish.com, Amy Schumer. Jess and I did a show at the same venue and same time during the festival. Her show was called Champagne Problems, but after speaking to her ex, it was actually Goonbag Solutions.
That's a good band name. I'm going to use that. Thank you. Every now and again, Gavin gets a date, but I'm not sure how, because I can't fathom how he could actually get an erection and not die. The man's only got about 1 pint of blood in his body, and he uses that to fuel his unstable emotions.
Oh, that's funny. I'm Indigenous and Jess is from the country. Jess only voted no because she thought me having no voice would give her a win tonight. Jess, you voted no, which is wild because if only you learned the word yes, your body count wouldn't look like a to-do list. Fuck you, dogs.
I actually didn't hear the punchline because of his teeth. Actually, anyway, it doesn't matter. You know when you're winning and you don't want to kill the man? Yeah. When Gavin isn't threatening to kill himself because he isn't famous yet, or because he lost $12 or AKA his life savings on sports bet again. He's spending all of his time trying to get people to feel sorry for him because he's on the spectrum. He's not. He's just had so many altercations with other comedians that he's got brain damage.
Yeah, fair play. Jess Pittman is actually a huge fan of Jean-Claude Van Damme. She actually met him a few years ago, and John labelled it the incident the worst thing to be happening to his career since Street Fighter.
It was a terrible movie, I can pay that last joke, yeah. I was just doing some research for this, and I googled Gavin Semple comedian, and it said, did you mean Gavin Semple?
Jess actually told me the other day she's only single because she rejects every dude that talks to her. Jess, you're nearly in your 40s and you live alone with your cats. The only pussy eating going to your house would be when your cats eat your lonely, lifeless carcass, you old bitch.
All right, so that was the number 7 battle this week from Australia. They finally pick up another point. They had been stuck on 2 for a while. Now they're on 3.
I mean, we're going to summer solstice. They're going into winter solstice. This makes sense. You know, this is when you hibernate. You start writing roast jokes, get a little more savage because you're not outside, you know, showing off your Australian body. So this is good.
Yeah. That's as good a theory as any. That's better than anything.
That's all I had
have.
about Australia because you guys haven't been here for a whole solstice.
Yeah. Yeah, we get a lot of comments roasting Atlanta. People are like, what's going on in Atlanta? It's like, Australia has 2 points. Don't let Atlanta distract you from the fact that Australia has also been pretty bad. But 2 weeks in a row, they sent in something, you know, pretty decent. You could see week 14 on the Patreon, week 15 you just saw here.
They're backwards people. Their toilets go kind of clockwise.
Counterclockwise,
You know what I mean?
that's what it is.
I learned it from The Simpsons.
Yeah. Let's keep it going right now with an expansion city that has been absolutely dominant this year. They come into this week still maintaining first place in the International East Division.
Oh,
and
Atlantis.
they pick up 2 more points. I'm talking about Manchester. Manchester, the surprise of the season. Their Cinderella run continues here with the number 6 battle of week 15. This is Brendan Fox versus Jack Horsfield. Here it is.
For those who don't know, Jack has changed his stage name to Jack Burns. Jack Burns is what he says to himself every morning when he does a piss because he never wears a condom. Jack has had gonorrhea and chlamydia several times, which makes him one of those comedians that gets the clap on stage and off it. Jack even had scabies one time. Is that true?
Yes.
What's scabies again?
It's little mites that kind of burrow into your skin and make you itch.
Yes. Jack said to me that you could get that from just shaking hands with someone.
You can.
After you raw dog them in an alleyway.
I don't know if you understood any of that. When I first met Brendan, I thought he was severely mentally challenged. But, it is just an Australian accent. People think Australians are stupid. I have nothing to add to that. Brendan is so stupid, he can't read books, but he can read the sexy signals being sent by those cheeky little koala bears. Koala bears are known to carry chlamydia, but what people don't know is it's Brendan that gave them it.
And I got it from him. Hey, Jack's bathroom recently flooded, leaving him in £10,000 worth of debt. Ooh, oh, poor Jack. That has nothing on the debt he owes to society for starting a podcast with fellow comedian Jane Postlethwaite. You in here, Jane?
No, she's not here.
Oh, damn. It's called Bats in the Attic. Bats in the Attic. Bats in the Attic has been described as a queer comedy podcast about exploring the paranormal, macabre, and downright weird. I asked Jack what was so queer about the podcast, and he said, it just sucks absolute dick.
Brendan likes to have his bumhole licked. That's right.
Word up.
He likes his Sheilas to go down under.
Hey.
I would argue that licking any part of Brendan would be classed as licking an arsehole. He loves it so much he thought The Human Centipede was a documentary. He's tried to search for it online, but unfortunately he can't spell centipede or human or the.
All right, this is going to be a quick fire round of shit that Jack looks like. Jack looks like the police sketch of an elf pedophile. Jack looks like he got expelled from Hogwarts for selling ketamine to the other students. Jack somehow looks like both the victim and perpetrator of a homophobic hate crime. Stop hitting yourself. Jack looks racist.
Wow.
You'll go.
Okay. Well, look, I want to get serious for a minute, if that's all right, because Brendan's dad has dementia. It's so bad, his dad doesn't even recognise Brendan anymore. I know. His family say they've never seen his dad so happy.
Bruh.
When Brendan visits his dad now, his dad thinks he's a gigolo that's come to fuck his mum. And Brendan, being the good son that he is, and always looking for a few extra dingo dollars, gets down to business.
Baby!
I'm only joking, that bit's obviously not true, but something that is true is, unlike a boomerang, Brendan's dad's love for his son is never coming back.
Where's the camera? Love you, Mum. Anyway, Jack's idea of winning a roast battle is not coming first in an Eiffel Tower. Jack is one of those gay dudes that look like he came out of the Tupperware drawer instead of the closet. I'm really proud of Jack because he breaks down many LGBT stereotypes like they are funny and interesting.
Brendan has a very long list of accomplishments. He's a bartender. Oh, that's not very long, is it? His proudest achievement is that he's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. So it's very odd standing next to a heterosexual man that enjoys being thrown around by sweaty men even more than I do. It's very clever, though. He's actually found the only legal way to shove his arsehole in someone's face.
There are other legal ways. I made fun of Jack's financial situation earlier, and I feel bad because it turns out he might have to move to Hong Kong in order to make money to get himself out of debt. And my housemate speaks Cantonese. Can I give you a few phrases?
Yeah, thank you.
Actually, I got evicted, so I had to do this on Google Translate. But, you ready? Bin go fong hong hai su ba zam. That means, which way is the bus stop?
Thank you.
Ngo ju ski gao zi, which means I will have the dumplings. Good food over there. And jiao ku yong je jam jing jiao lao zo, which means fuck, my dick is leaking again.
Brendan's very promiscuous. He slept with over 30 women, a couple of them consensually. That's a lot of women who found themselves walking away from Brendan's house with a hazy memory and a brown tongue. I'm joking. Look at this guy. He doesn't need to drug women to get them to sleep with him. But he does need to drug them to get them to stay awake during a conversation with him. Brendan's what they call boring pretty, all right? He's so boring, by the time he's got a Sheila back to his place, she offers to drug and strangle herself.
So that was number 6 this week. Brendan Fox, Jack Horsfield. Aussies represented 2 battles in a row. I know we didn't watch this here in the studio, but Brendan is an Australian gentleman. It's very funny. I would encourage you to go back and watch this one because here's the thing, as Americans, and maybe you're more cultured than I am, the Australian accent and the British accent, pretty similar. And they get mad when you say that. They're like, do we sound the same? Yeah. To us, you do. They sound identical. And in this battle, Brendan goes first, the Australian guy, and he does like 3 jokes, and then it goes to Jack, and in, to me, the exact same voice, he says to the crowd, he's like, not sure if any of you could understand any of that. And the whole crowd like laughs because they're like, yeah, he sounds fucking ridiculous. You both sound identical to me. It's just very, very funny.
Very funny accents, both of you. Yeah. Shout out Toxic Manchester. That's my new nickname, Toxic Manchester. Putting the toxic man in Manchester. But as far as Australia goes and that accent and British, I gotta say Australia's funnier.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things where like the twang of the voice is kind of the same to me. It's it's like the colloquialisms, you know. It's the local kind of shit, you know.
I learned this in acting class actually. We're in Los Angeles. Sorry everybody, you can turn it off now. But the difference between New Zealand and Australia, you just say laser disc. That's New Zealand.
And what is Australia?
Who knows?
DVD.
Blu-ray.
I love that you're like, I can perfectly pick out the difference between Australia and New Zealand as long as they're talking about laser discs.
That's it.
If it's not that, I'm fucked.
That's what they say. That's how you get the accent. I don't actually know what what differentiates them, but I know laser disc. That tells them you're a Kiwi.
It also tells us how long it's been since you had acting classes.
Yeah, it was really bad. Sorry.
That was a new to LA kind of thing for you, huh?
Oh yeah, laser disc.
Well, we have an episode title. Let's keep it moving now with the number 5 battle. And this features a couple of very familiar names. So this is Scotland on top of the International West Division. This is a Scotland versus London battle. So London's going to pick up 1.5 points here. It's got, from Scotland, Jack Traynor, who to me is like right in the thick of the MVP race this year. It's his 4th battle of the year. It's his 4th appearance on RBL Weekly. He's put up a lot of points. We'll talk more about him in a little bit. And from London, it's got Ken Grinnell. Now,
whoa, welcome back.
Yeah, so Ken Grinnell, when we first conceived the league in 2022, if you go back and watch like the first 15, 20 episodes of this podcast, very unfocused. We didn't know what we were doing. We had like 7 teams. We didn't have it down. But Ken Grinnell, along with like Grace Leishman of Chicago.
Yeah.
Remember Grace?
Oh yeah.
Were kind of like the pillars that I thought when we go into our first full season in 2023, these are the ones we build around. Ken Grinnell, Grace Leishman, a couple other people who didn't really make the jump. Derek Humphrey in New York was big. And then we got into the official thing, and then they kind of like, took a step back, and the Shalakas of the world took over, and,
Right, deep.
Yeah, exactly. And now it's great to see Ken Grinnell back. He's been a little bit more active this season. This is his 3rd battle. Spoiler alert, he wins this one. He goes to 3-0 on the season.
Damn.
So
welcome back.
I would love to see Ken Grinnell really focus and try to take home the London MVP this year. And,
it's tough. You got Shalaka in the way.
It's very, very tough. But
and Duffy.
Shalaka versus Ken Grinnell for the MVP, I don't know, thinking ahead.
That hasn't happened out there?
I don't think they've battled.
Wow.
Which it feels like a big money fight. Has to happen. But for now, let's get into one of the big stars of the 2024 season versus one of the returning big names from the preseason kind of format that we had here a couple years ago. It's in Scotland. It is Jack Traynor versus Ken Grinnell. It's number 5 this week. Here it is.
Ken's part Jamaican. Jamaican women feel uncomfortable when he follows them home. Ken's mum's Irish and his dad's Jamaican, meaning he calls it the munchies while she calls it the famine. Ken's Rastafari and Dad's hair isn't the only unwashed hangers-on in that family.
Yeah, I look like all the flavours missing from Jack's spice rack. So first and foremost, I want to say it's an honour to be here roasting Miss Scotland. This is Jack if Jill went up the hill to ask for Angela. Jack, you look like you think that 9/11 was fake, but wrestling is real.
It fucking is, Luke, tell him! If I'm losing at any point, I'm tagging in Lucha, and it looks like that's going to happen quite soon. Ken's favourite foods, jerk chicken. Nothing to do with his heritage, he just likes wanking off animals before he eats them. Ken reminds me a lot of a famous Jamaican sprinter Bolt. Retarded cousin Zap. Ken grew up in London, also was into opera when he was younger. So let me put this one into your words. Suck your mum, you bumperclads.
That's the note I made your mum hit last night. So this is Jack. Jack has learning difficulties. Even his brain is ginger. So Jack is addicted to coke and hides his stretch marks because he hates white lines he can't sniff.
Even when Ken had mice in his room at uni, it still wasn't enough to attract any form of kitty. When I heard Ken chat inside a gym, I assumed he had an uncle called Jimmy. I haven't seen an English chef be this unlikable since Jamie Oliver ruined school dinners.
Cool. Alright. Cool, man. I'll let him know that you don't like him. Alright. So Jack's dad makes cakes and is Catholic. So eggs aren't the only thing he beats. Most of Jack's uncles have overdosed to get out of molesting him.
I know we've all seen Cool Runnings. The only way we'll see this Jamaican on ice is if he develops a crystal meth problem. Kidding. The only time I want to see Ken on ice is when he's fucking dead. Ken has an umbilical hernia, proving that even his own stomach can't stomach him. Ken's a nerdy guy, but he looks like a paedophile. Either way, it looks like he's hunting for a 16-year-old comic to take home with him. And the answer to the question, what if Oscar the Grouch exclusively lived in the food waste bin?
What's your name, mate? Chris. If you saw both of us in a lineup, which one would you guess the paedophile was? Yeah, exactly. I rest my case. All right, so Jack, you look like the cartoon Dexter if his lab was for cooking meth. Jack is the only guy who looks less offensive in blackface. Is that him?
With an Irish mum, Jamaican dad, and 19 confirmed siblings, Ken's birthday photographs look more like police lineups than parties. Ken is one of 19 confirmed children. His dad's dished out more genes than Levi Strauss. And speaking of Levi's, Ken's mum's seen more Jamaican sauce than Levi roots.
Yeah. If Jack had as many siblings as me, he wouldn't know who to marry. So Jack accidentally took meth once. That was the last time his mum packed his lunch. Jack was held back a year at uni by a door that said push to open. Cheers.
All right, so that was number 5 this week. Enough of the battles that we're not watching here in the studio. Jack Trainer, Ken Grinnell. Ken picks up the win. Jack extends his lead in the Scotland division in terms of RBL points. He has been their star this year for me.
Cullen, where you at?
Yeah. Listen, you can't. It's tough to be on top every year.
It's true.
It's really, really tough. We're learning that, man. A lot of when you look at like the MVP favorites this season versus last, there's a lot of turnover there.
Yeah, Ajota's pretty consistent. Shalak is pretty consistent, but no Ness and no Cullen.
Yeah, it's been Cullen's been winning battles for the most part.
I'm working on a stand-up. I've seen you out there, Cullen, touring.
Yeah, his podcast, Absolute Cuts. All right, let's get into some battles we can actually watch here in the studio so we can have more to discuss. And we're going to go to one of the shockers of the season for me. If Manchester being in first place is a shocker, to me, Tokyo being right on their heels is a little bit surprising as well. This is a city that had 17 points last year. With this battle here, the number 4 battle, they are now at 33 points for this season, which means not even halfway through the season, they've already effectively doubled their total from last year. They have had a really great run, and they are nipping right at the heels of Manchester, and they continue to gain ground little bit by little bit. Manchester gets 2 points this week. Tokyo has 4. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Here it is, the number 4 battle this week from Tokyo. It's John Sabai versus Uriah Collins. Here it is.
Let's keep this short, you guys. John needs to get back to officiating Bert and Ernie's wedding.
I'm an ally.
Yes, you are. So John, he teaches improvisation in Japan, a country where there's panic if you ask for sauce on the side. But thanks to John's classes, train suicide has gone down. Because now people are throwing themselves in front of a noun the audience chooses.
There goes another one. Way to go. Oh, damn. My friend UDA, everybody! UDA, a self-described snack. I was like, what? And then she explained it to me, and I was like, yeah, I get it. A snack. Like Cheetos. Pump full of artificial shit. Ultimately unsatisfying. And will leave a weird, stinky stain on your fingers. Also, weirdly, a bunch of orange dust. We're friends, everybody!
Thank you. Yes, I'm finger licking good. Thank you.
Not quiet, but...
One time for Ruben, everyone. He's on the soundboard.
He can only communicate in sounds now. Ever since the accident.
Bless him, yes. I give it up for Sumo Mars, you guys. John in his youth, so, long ago, in a galaxy far, far away, he was a member of a niche Catholic church where he spoke in tongues. Yes, so you could say the power of Christ compelled him to start stand-up comedy, where he still babbles incoherently.
Thank you, the one Asian Bratz doll.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Like a Bratz doll, UDA can also be found on eBay. Hey, UDA is super single. Yeah. It's not looking good. All right. No, this is real. This is real. Actually, you can check her socials. This is real. She is currently taking applications for a baby daddy. You can find that on her socials. Yeah, if anyone's interested, I think UDA said you just have to apply your balls to her face. So she can check the specimens. Viability. Balls.
Nice save. Nice save, John.
Can I get a geographical location where I can kill myself?
Suicide force.
John reminds me a lot of American health insurance. He's useless, kind of shady, and only available to white people.
It's nice to feel special, I guess. I don't know, I guess. Yeah. Thank you, Black Pink Eye.
In your area?
Yeah, I know. Black Pink Eye, one boyfriend giving you 2 gifts? That's crazy. That was mean. We're friends. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
That was inappropriate. UDA is a working actor. Yeah. On IMDb and everything. Damn. Like, even one time, she was a henchman on Gotham. It was very cool. Like, she had a gun that she was wearing in a holster, which is crazy. Because usually it's UDA that's the side piece.
That's a great joke.
Thank you, Princess and the Frog. I'm so happy John and I are friends, okay? Because growing up, I wasn't allowed to play video games. But knowing John is like knowing all of the Super Mario Brothers. He's fast, he's lovable, and has the combined mommy issues of 2 Italian men.
Thank you, grown woman who looks like she's dressed to audition for Euphoria.
I'm available.
Yeah, hit her up. Hit her up specifically. I don't know how this works. I don't work. UDA cares about social issues. It's important. And environmental issues too. That's right. She's done her part. To create more breathable air for Tokyo, she finally reduced the size of her big-ass nose. She still flies from Tokyo to New York every month, though, so I don't know how that balances out. It's good. It's fine. It's fine. I think her old nose is like housing a Palestinian family or something. It's good. It's good. It's fine. It's cool. IDF flies over and they're like, oh, not that one. That's one of ours. I know. That's not okay. That's not okay. It's 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 not okay.
I'm a hero.
You are a hero.
Thank you, Aziz. I'm sorry. This is very sad, actually. The Catholic Church did a number on John. Yeah. And he still carries a lot of the guilt. Like, for example, after premarital sex, it takes him 3 days to rise again.
It's because I'm thinking. I'm plotting. I'm strategizing. As I said, UDA cares about social issues. When the 3/11 earthquake happened, actually, UDA went to Fukushima to help out farmers that were affected by nuclear fallout. Because farms were affected, then they couldn't, It's an issue that's deeply personal to her. Because nobody wants to plant seeds in her either.
Thank you, my favorite hype man at Don Quixote.
All right. Okay, number 4, John Sabai versus Yuri Collins. He had some well-written shit. The Cheetos joke up top was really, really good, and then planting the seeds at the end, and then kind of in the middle, the IDF with her old nose. But that is a very public thing. She had a roast of her old nose before she got surgery.
Oh, that's funny.
Which is very funny. So she owns it. She's a great character. She's a lot of fun. I thought there was a good like friendship kind of energy in that battle. They clearly they clearly like each other, which is cool to see.
Yeah, I don't know how long they've been doing it, battling or even stand up, but you could tell they had great stage presence. You could tell they were friends. A lot of stuff was rolling off with them. They did look like a cover band of the White Stripes called the Yellow Stripes.
Wow.
I mean, I had some other ones too. You don't want
that one.
You don't want that one?
No, leave
you
it,
don't
leave
want
it.
Portishead, Fishhead? You don't want because they're in Japan.
Keep them coming.
I got plenty. But you don't want that. But I thought John, it was fun. There were some really strong ones with John at the end. He had some good joke structure, I thought. So ultimately, they have a good upside. They had a good rapport on stage, but that's pretty much what I could say about that. I just kept looking at them like there's so many jokes about what they look like right now. Like this whole Sonny and Cher vibe they had going on. This Jack and Kelly Osbourne, if it was in, Yu-Gi-Oh!
To me, it rides a very thin line. Right. There's a very thin line between like, for me, like, oh, they're both having fun up there and like, just tell your fucking joke.
Jesus.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of my like least favorite things is the people who feel like they have to like rebuttal everything.
Yeah.
Like I have to have a response to that. No, you don't. You could just kind of like laugh at it and tell your joke. They rode the line to me where a couple times I'm like, okay, we should like, if we edited this by 2 minutes and cut out some of the like filler, it's a better battle.
Like a Judd Apatow film.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, some of that energy is what's elevating it and making it a better battle.
Correct.
So you have this sort of like double-edged sword, right?
Where really? Nice pun.
Not everything is a Japanese pun.
Instead of Amy Winehouse, Amy Japanese Whiskey Dojo. That's all I got.
All right. You sure that's all you got? I feel like I feel like you got 10 more ready to go.
I mean, there's the yeahs, but I don't want to go into rah. I don't know.
I was watching this and I'm just like, man, if you cut out 2 minutes, it's like the pitch clock in baseball. You know what I mean? Like you cut out like time of guys like adjusting their batting gloves and like kicking dirt off their cleats and shit like that. Like there was a little bit of that in there. Like there were a couple times John got started on like a riff and he's like, yeah, I don't even know where this is like going. Yeah. Time out. Time.
By the way, John, great American name. I don't know what your actual name is in Japanese, but John is very, very, very common. So basic.
I'm not sure he's Japanese.
Really?
He might be like partially.
Really? But John is such a basic name.
I'm sure it's probably short for something.
Just crushing this guy's name. His parents were like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Our grandfather was John. He died in the war.
Yeah. And we're over here disrespecting him with a litany of Japanese puns. The location joke, by the way, props to you. When she's like, can I get a location? You nailed that. And we're probably going to cut it out for monetization.
Been watching a lot of World War II docs. I've got a lot of wartime effort inside of me right now for the Japanese.
I love it. Love the battle too. Great stuff. Tokyo continues to just be fun. They're clearly just having a great time with it out there. You can see it. You can see it, man. It shines through. It's a lot of fun to see. It's the crowds are good.
And shout out JJ Wackrat, the guy, the president over there. Yeah. That's how you do it. JJ called at the beginning of the season, said, we're coming for London. Now they're number 2, nipping on Manchester's heels. That's how you do it, Josh Means. You actually show up.
Josh is doing good. They're in second place, too. Shout out to the Bay Area. Shout out to Tokyo. I love that energy. Frankly, some of these other cities, I need the email where it's like, I'm calling my shot. We're coming. We're doing this thing.
But they're ahead of London.
They are?
Bay's not ahead of L.A.
Not yet.
Good to see you, Bay.
Still a lot of season. Hey, speaking of the Bay.
Damn it!
What do you say we get to the number 3 battle this week? And speaking of LA, how about a Bay versus LA battle? This is from their recent show at Cobb's Comedy Club in San Francisco. This is one of the Bay's best going up against a guy who has a very interesting resume so far this season. We're going to talk about it in a minute. LA's John Luna. He went up to the Bay Area battling again. I don't know why that's funny. Battling against Jack Weiler, representing... I don't know. Here it is, number 3.
Hey, John, if you're here, who's losing the biggest loser? John's bisexual, but only because he'll never say no to double portions.
We'll make this quick. Jack needs to get back to trying to overthrow high school student governments.
parents would have if you stopped eating. John's last name means the moon in Spanish, which is fitting because you can see his ass from Mexico. John actually performs across the border a lot. You can see his one-man show in San Diego, Evenings with Shampoo.
Do you think San Diego's in Mexico?
Across the border. Across the border.
Okay. Jack lives in the Bay Area, but his girlfriend broke up with him, so now his apartment is the no Bay Area. She's like Twitter, because now her name is X. The San Francisco Giants are actually named after the dicks that she's now sucking.
Thank you, Manny, he ate the whole Modern Family. JP's mom just retired from being a cop because she just thought that there should only be one pig in the family.
Jack works in tech and is single, so the only time he ever gets any is when he gets laid off.
Thank you, Sleeping Gonzalez.
Jack's sex life is a lot like his work because it's all ones and zeros.
Thank you, Poppy Churro. Growing up, his classmates used to call him a wetback because his back was their favorite place to come. I'd never call you a wetback though because you look like you swim with your shirt on.
Jack's face screams CTE. That he comes to Ethereum. Jack likes to play tennis because it's the only time that anyone around him ever says the word love.
Number 3 battle this week, Bay Area versus LA. Very different pace from the one we just saw in Tokyo. That was rapid fire.
They don't know each other that well, right? Two guys from different cities, obviously, so you're not getting that friendship vibe that we saw in the battle before in Tokyo, but man, the writing was on par. So it was almost like that's what was rolling the most. If you understood the references that were happening, if you kind of understood John's style. John has a new style, I've noticed. He fact checks every battler he battles now. I've noticed every battle he has, he goes, nah. And it's like, oh, and it's almost a punchline within, it's like a hat on a hat. It's very weird to me.
When he said, do you think San Diego's in Mexico?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really, he's done that in almost every battle I've seen on the show now. And I that's a new style I've never seen, but it's abrupt and it's a defense.
Yeah, I never noticed it. I'm going to keep an eye out for it now.
Yeah.
He missed one opportunity. Jack called him JP at one point.
I saw that.
Yeah. And there was no response on that one. But I thought it was good writing. Just two solid roast battlers who know what they're doing. For John Luna, 5 battles this season, all 5 have been RBL Weekly ranked.
Damn.
Only person in the league with 5 ranked battles so far this season.
Damn.
Let's talk about Jack real quick because the John Luna conversation is interesting to me. Jack won that battle. Jack has a very good RBL record last season, this season. He wins a lot. He's entertaining. He's fun. He's one of the better people in the Bay Area. I feel like one of their kind of like unsung like heroes. You know what I mean?
Jack Weiler. Love his name.
Yeah. And really consistent. Just I've seen him battle live in the Bay, and I've seen him battle at Jam in the Van, and just always a really entertaining battler. So shout out to Jack. Congratulations, picking up 5 points for the Bay this week.
They are good. I mean, not they. I mean, them as a collective. I think when you don't know the other person so well, like you're not actual friends, right?
Yeah.
And you're just kind of going with what they're telling you. I thought that was a perfect example of how to do it. I don't know how much time they had to write, but you kind of saw some of the building blocks of what makes a good battle, right? The Nate Welch style of like getting some puns in, right? There's some acronyms in there that they're using. Jack was using that solid classic. I'm gonna go for some stereotype jokes of your race.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it was like
You'd be
kind of got
crazy
those.
not to.
Yeah. So you saw what can make a good battle, right? Because you have some of those building blocks of I can use puns to get a punchline off. I can use acronyms to get a punchline off. I can use some race shaming to get a punchline off a little bit, right? So those are some of the building blocks to kind of get what the crowd is going to want for the most part, because they want to hear that shocking stuff. But for the most part, you got to see the good writing within some of those just like tropes, I guess you can say, or some of those that structure.
Yeah, and also a little bit of the thing I love where like just grabbing somebody like visually. When John said he looks like he has a student government to overthrow, like the video quality is not good enough from the Bay Area for people to fully understand how great that joke is.
So good.
You know, you spend a little bit of time with Jack and like you see him and everything and you're like, oh, that joke, that hits so hard.
So good, John Luna. Out at the gate, I was like, I don't know how you recover. And then Jack recovered very well.
Yeah.
You just saw how good those two are. I was like, because that would have got me like, oh, I would have started laughing and just like lost my mind. Like, I don't know what my next joke is. He nailed it.
Yeah, it was really, really good. Let's talk about John Luna real quick. John Luna, I got a stat. Are you ready for this? It's gonna fucking
where in the world is he's our Carmen Sandiego?
He is. He's battled in New York, the Bay Area, and LA this season. Every one of the battles making the countdown. Like I say, 5 battles, all ranked for a total of 24 points.
Wow.
He scored 24 points. Now, I'd like to put that in perspective. 24 points ties the record that Shalaka Corrupt set last season.
He's at 24 already?
He's at 24 already. Now, keep in mind, there's 7 battles this year instead of 5. So every battle you do is worth 2 extra points.
Right,
So
it's like a 3-point line.
Exactly. We'll adjust for
introduce.
inflation a little bit. And adjusted for inflation, he's at about 14 compared to what Shalaka did last year. But he's still on pace. We looked at that Shalaka season and we were like, this is an nobody's ever going to be able to touch this. Now, she did go 15-3, and so far he's 2-3. So the record factors
battles.
into it.
Wow.
But, and if we could, in fact, can we throw that graphic up on the screen with, these are the top 10 individual seasons. Now, we're only 2 seasons into the RBL.
Okay.
But you look, Shalaka last season, John Luna, and then you got Max Sorich and Jack Trainer there from this year, Katie Kincaid, Ryan Cullen, Paige Wesley from last year, Kyle Samuel, that's a typo, he should be this year, 2024. Then Nesson. There's not 2 Kyle Samuel seasons. I fucked up the graphic somewhere. But the point is, if you look at that top, what John Luna has been able to do this season has been absolutely incredible for a first place LA team.
I mean, the Sorich Trainer, wow, look at this season. You introduced those extra 2 battles. I mean, we're looking at some really high scoring this year.
It's like a steroid era.
Yeah, it looks like John Luna's blood pressure is really high.
Now, here's my question. We have, I'm not sure if I've talked about it on this podcast, but July 21st at the Mothership, we're doing the first ever RBL All-Star Game.
Yes.
We'll be announcing the full rosters coming up, 5 battles, Western Conference versus Eastern Conference, winner take all. It's going to be the only All-Star Game in sports that people actually give a fuck about.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. Here's my question for LA. Who is your All-Star out of LA this year? Can it be John Luna with a record of 2-3?
You know, because every battle he puts up gets on the countdown that gets the points for the city, just because he's kind of carrying the city right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's got enough room on that back, and thank you, John Luna, for carrying the city. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I probably would have said Nate Welch.
I think Nate's the other one.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to those 2 guys. I think one of them will be the LA representative for the All-Star Game. Nate at 3-2. He has a couple high-ranking battles as well against Ryan and Paige. Made the Final 4 of the Netflix tournament. Had a really rough time once he got there, but making the Final 4 is quite the accomplishment.
I got a dark horse though, Pat.
What's
I know
that?
people have been saying it online. Angie Stroud.
Angie Stroud's the other one. 3-0, just defended the undercard title, won the title, defended the title, 3-0.
She's different.
We've yet to see her on RBL Weekly yet, though.
That's a great point.
Now,
you're right. I'm talking about. I'm inside information. I'm underground right now. Nobody's even seen this. You know. So, but yeah, I keep an eye out. She's different right now. She's got a Nesson quality about her last year when he locked in.
Yeah. She's great, and she had a great battle last week that I think you'll be seeing on this podcast next week. That would be my prediction. It's going to be submitted next week. We'll see if it makes the countdown. Being in the room, my guess is that it will. I thought it was really, really, really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me, those are kind of like the three names, and it's not just the All-Star thing. This is around the part of the season where you start thinking like LA's looking like a pretty good bet to make the playoffs.
Right.
Who's going to be the MVP? Who is going to be competing for the World Championship?
Wow.
To me, right now, it's a 3-horse race with those names we just mentioned. But there's still a lot of season left to go. We're not even halfway done.
You know, as a city, do you think about that? Of like, is this our strongest representation to represent the team going forward to this playoff, this 4-team playoff, right? This 4-city playoff. You know, like if you are LA, are you saying, is Nate our best bet, right? Obviously, it's not up to them.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you know, do you like, hey, get some more battles up, Paige, get some more battles up, Ryan, get some more battles up, you know, whoever.
I think, yeah. I mean, I've had those conversations. I was talking to Paige the other day, and she's like, I want to be more active in the second half. And I was like, MVP is still wide open.
Especially for LA,
It's wide open. Now, we don't pick in a way where it's like, who would be, because of those people, I actually think it's possible if the goal is to like send somebody to win the championship, I think Angie might be the best bet of any of them.
Right now, yeah, she's high. She's streaky.
She's streaky, and also it's really hard. Like John Luna's a big target. If you're gonna send somebody, and the goal is like we're picking somebody to win the thing, you don't want the guy who's 2 and 3 and is a big target. But that's not how this works. What happens is there will be a vote for the MVP of LA. And if John Luna wins the vote, he will be the one representing. It's not like we sit around and we pick like who's the best shot to win. It is whoever wins the MVP. And I think it's still wide open. I even think like if Nesson wanted to go crazy, if he's like, I'm going to do 7 battles in the second half, he could end 5 and 2. He could get in and win that thing. I think for some cities, there's a clear front runner. I think for LA, it's a little bit wide open. But for me right now, Luna and Welch, and then right below them, Angie Stroud.
Yeah, you're right about the Luna of it all. And then I'll even say this, because I was trying to get to a point of, I mean, who do you trust? Who's going to lock the fuck in? You know, because you don't really see that a lot with like Luna's just there to have a good time for the most part. You know, and if he doesn't get it, he's just like, they didn't get it. Whatever. It's not that big of a deal. It's like he's not taking it seriously enough. Stroud, Welch, you know, Wesley, Nesson, you've all seen them do it, you know. Luna, right now, he's the front runner. He's hitting a lot of threes from, you know, from the logo, but I mean, we're talking about front running, and that's not really John's thing.
I will say this. I would love to see a locked in John Luna. I would love to see a focused John Luna who is like, I'm going to be the best roast writer in the world for the next 5 months.
He could do it.
He could do. That's the thing.
He's got the skills.
He's absolutely got the skills. But you're right. He approaches it like, I'm just up here kind of like having fun and, you know, whatever. And like, I respect that. I'm not mad at it. But I would love to see what happens if he kicked it into another gear and he was like, I'm focused on putting on the best battles anybody has ever seen, like writing the best jokes and everything like that. Because I think he's going at about 60% speed right now, and that's still pretty fucking good.
I mean,
the numbers bear it out.
Clearly, yeah.
Yeah. But just something very interesting as we continue on in the season.
John Luna Doncic. That's what I'm calling him.
I love it.
Get in shape, Luna. Come on now.
Now, speaking about MVP, this next battle features somebody that was a dark horse for you for MVP. We're going to go to New York, and we're going to see Malia Simon.
Hey.
Malia Simon was one of your early preseason kind of picks. Like, I think she could do it. She got off to a great start this season, and then she ran into Eric Asker. Eric Asker is another guy who maybe flies under the radar a little bit. This is a guy that I think as the season progresses, we're going to be talking a little bit more about him.
Really? I've kept my eye on Eric Asker for the last few seasons, even before this became an actual league. Mm-hmm. This guy's making a lot of noise. His videos go viral for RBL in New York. He's a monster, man. He's got Denver looks, Denver roast battle looks with New York edge.
Yeah. He's a hell of a joke writer. Malia Simon is a monster. These are two of my favorite battlers in the league, having a 3-round battle from New York. It's the number 2 battle this week. It's Eric Asker versus Malia Simon. Let's check it out.
Before we start, I just want to take a quick poll. Just round of applause. Who thinks Malia's hot? Okay. Just trying to figure out who's been drinking. To me, Malia looks like she spends every weekend playing the wench at the Renaissance Fair. Speaking of which, that's also how you describe her looks, like, for the Renaissance Fair.
Thank you, Eric. You look like the cashier at Trader Joe's who tells you his name for some reason. Doesn't he seem like he opens conversations with, "What's your passion?"
Beating down on dumb bitches. Okay, whatever. Malia looks like before you fuck her, she makes you wait while she turns around all her stuffed animals so they don't watch.
That's good. Thank you, resting male nurse face. Eric actually is a first responder to porn stars' Instagram stories.
That's great.
You look like Raggedy Ann if the Ann was short for an annoying bitch.
Classic. Honestly, it's an honor to be roasting this English teacher going through a divorce. I know he looks like it, but Eric's actually not a reader, unless you count reading into smiles from waitresses.
Dude. I've been there too, bro. It happens.
Let's roll.
All right, keep it going for the hottest guy on the speech and debate field trip, everybody. Doesn't he seem like he'd call you a whore in Latin? He's got that something about you. You seem like you'd get into magic for the pussy. He's a little bit about Eric. He told me in theater he was in high school he was in theater, or as some people call it, the closet. For the past 5 years, he's been living in Bushwick, or as some people call it, the closet. It's you.
Why do you deliver your jokes like Greta Thunberg? You guys see it? They say opposites attract. I don't think that's true though, because all of Malia's boyfriends are also mildly autistic. I fucked up. I meant to say Malia's wildly autistic. All right. No, doesn't she look like she gets left out of group chats by all of her imaginary friends? No, but it's an honor to be here roasting the first Disney princess on the spectrum. I feel like Malia looks like every morning a bunch of animated birds fly through her window and make her take her Wellbutrin. Malia, you look like you put hearts over the little eyes in your suicide note. All right, let's wrap this up. I know Malia has to crawl back into the TV she crawled out of. Malia looks like she says, "No, you hang up first," to the customer service representative she demanded to speak to.
Okay, thank you, last guy you date before you realize you're a lesbian.
You're welcome doesn't realize she's a lesbian.
Eric, if you're here, who's leaning in for a kiss from slightly too far away?
Thank you, little survived an abortion Annie. Malia looks like she gets excited about a new pack of highlighters.
That's funny.
Eric told me he used to be a white rapper. I know, cringy, he doesn't do it anymore. Now he's just a white raper.
Thank you, Bland Frank. Doesn't Malia look like her like Holocaust diary would be all about like the cute Nazi soldier she's into? He's looking for me so hard.
What's wrong with that? You look like the guy who tests out new sneakers by jogging around the store.
You know that.
I do know that. You
Good arch.
You look like you say, "I'm such a Hufflepuff."
That's funny.
After you leave the baby you nanny in a car for too long.
Eric, if you're here, who's going, my dad is the funniest guy I know, unprompted.
Malia's such an autistic whore. She counts all of the sperm she swallows.
Eric is a fan of the band Animal Collective, which is also what the rest of us call all the women he's fucked. That's 5.
Give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. So that was the number 2 battle. Classic 3-rounder. 2 of the best in the league. Eric Asker, Malia Simon. I have thoughts on the battle from a bunch of different perspectives, but I'm gonna kick it to you to start. What was your main takeaway there?
It's fun. Obviously, great jokes from both. I thought Malia probably dominated in the first round, definitely. That was definitely a first round win for Malia. That second round, I thought she got it. Obviously, it doesn't really matter because they went to a third round. She ran out of steam, it felt like, at the end there. But a lot of the same prompts for jokes. A lot of Malia just kind of just take, like what you love is taking the essence of a battler and putting it on display. And that first round was kind of textbook that.
Oh, my God.
Dude. You know? And then,
oh, my God.
There's a thing about Malia. Now, who did she battle before on here? It was Dave?
Sheehan.
Dave Sheehan.
Dave
Okay.
Sheehan.
Now, I remember a couple guys in the comments were saying like, oh, so it's just if a guy looks like it's just about perspective, not about the jokes. Yes and no. If the joke is so good it beats what that person looks like, then you've done your job. But if you can't, you haven't done your job because your appearance is going to influence how we're thinking, man. It's a psychological thing. Now, in the beginning when Dave was talking about sex and her, it was almost like she does a thing where she can make her opponent look like a creep. But for some weird reason, round 3, he got into it. It didn't seem as creepy.
Yeah, and it was a 1-round battle versus the 3-round battle. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe Dave doesn't look as creepy as Eric, or looks more creepy than Eric. Maybe
and I was thinking about that when I was watching round 1, but then there's something about, no, he looks as creepy right now because of what he's saying.
Right, because I was thinking about that too. And to contextualize what you're saying, if people missed this episode, basically Dave Sheehan battled Malia Simon a few weeks ago. And he had jokes describing what she looks like she would be like to have sex with. And they were not landing. And you said it's because, he looks like a fucking creep. She looks like a little girl. And you are like making these, and you come off as creepy. And then Eric did the same thing in the first round, immediately kind of like jumping into, doesn't Malia look like when she has sex, she, you know.
It's like, oh.
And even starting with like, by a round of applause, who thinks she's hot? It's like immediately you're going down that road. And he kind of like fell into that trap and she beat him down in the first round. I think, because I noticed the same thing. I was thinking about the same battle. But by the third round, he kind of came back to it. And it might just be, is the joke good enough to beat the thing? And he kind of started that and then backed off of it and then circled back with the autistic counting the sperm you swallowed.
That's what I was about to describe. Like, that was it.
It might just be that joke is good enough where we are willing to forget for a moment that you're a creep.
Right.
You know?
Because you're taller, you seem like an adult, right? You do seem like the classic, hey, I didn't know you were 13 walking in here. You know what I mean? Like, both those guys have that look about them. But because she's such a little person, you know, and like you're looking and you're like, and you're just like, because then I don't want to think about having sex with her. I don't want to think about sexualizing her. I just want to think about the jokes, right? Because I don't want to think about that little person kind of a thing. It's just in the back of my brain. I think it's just aesthetically you're thinking about it. So the joke has to be better than you aesthetically, I guess.
Yeah. That joke had to be great because not only the other thing he did during the first round that did not land at all was when she said something about like, what's your hobby or something like that, and he was like, beating down dumb bitches, and it's like, whoa, buddy.
It was heavy on the Dave Portnoy. I know I said this about you before, Asker, but it felt Portnoy-ish.
Called her a bitch twice in the first round. And then he came back on that last one, and the setup was, she's such an autistic whore. I was like, oh boy. And it's like, so from every possible angle, he backed himself into a corner where it's like, this joke better be amazing, buddy. And then it was. You're like, all right. Can't deny it.
The highlighters, that was such an essence of a person joke. I thought that was so good. So I thought, when he went for like talking about who she is as like, just aesthetically as a little person, or just like who she is as a person, I get to learn more about her. But sexualizing her that's a trap, like walking into a Nate Welch.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy only does puns, traps. He's an idiot. And then it's just like, he's probably the smartest idiot,
Right. And then, but also she flipped it on him because his whole thing was like, it comes down to like, doesn't she look like she's like bad at sex or whatever? And then she was like, doesn't he look like he leans into kiss from slightly too far away?
My God.
Misreads, smiles from waitresses, like all of this stuff where if you're
first responder to
porn stars, Instagrams, like he was trying to frame her one way, and she just did a much better job of framing him as like this pathetic, like friend-zoned, like perpetually kind of guy who doesn't have any game.
Exactly.
Like she was great with that. As far as like the actual result of the battle, Eric got the win, which I think, I've been in a bunch of those 3-rounders. The goal is always just survive till round 3. And then whoever wins round 3 is going to win.
Right.
It's almost like a flawed system because they're never going to give it to a person in 2. I think you can make the argument that Malia clearly got the first. I think you can make the argument that she got the second. But he landed a big enough punch at the end with the Hufflepuff leave the kid in the car thing that if you're a judge, you're like, well, we have to go to a third. Even if I thought she edged him out, like we got to go to a third. He won the battle. He's 3-0. It's his second appearance, I believe, on the countdown. I think he's put up like 10 points or something like that. He's having a really good season. So is Malia. So is Andrew Manning in New York. New York is I always talk about the depth in New York. They always have so much talent there.
They have the writers. Yeah, they really, really do. Yeah. I do love me some Eric Asker, though. That is New York Dan Nolan. Austin battler Dan Nolan. He's a favorite.
Clean Dan Nolan.
Yeah.
Dan Nolan and Eric Asker. I think I have this stat right. I want to say the two of them and Andrew Manning are all undefeated in RBL play.
Wow.
Past 2 seasons. Nolan's 9-0. I think Manning is 7-0. And I think Asker's 6-0. It's crazy. Those guys, all they do is write really good jokes and win. Speaking of winning, let's move on to our number 1 battle of the week. And my God, the Denver run is insane. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anybody do a complete 180 and fix their season like this. This should be an inspiration for any city that's struggling right now. We're going to show you a graphic at the end of this battle that's really going to put into context what I'm talking about here. They did it again. They're number 1 again. I think it's their 3rd number 1 out of the last 4 weeks.
Wow.
They just keep putting up crazy points. This is from their tournament, which has been a massive success for them in terms of finding new stars and getting number 1 battles. It's another one this week. It is Jeff Stonick versus Jake Tapizza. Here it is.
Are you set? You trying to distract me with Pokemon? Not today, my friend. Look, Jeff, I'm surprised you made it in here tonight, because I thought wide right security checked for fleas. Jeff here looks like he scratches his ears with his feet. Which is good practice in case your ears itch while giving an unsolicited back rub.
It's blue version, man. It's pretty cool, right?
Don't turn this into a performance art piece.
Right there. Jake officiated his sister Jill's wedding, which is pretty cool. It was the only way that she would let him watch her consummate the wedding. That night, he was a little freak. There we go. Very good. That's the joke.
All right. Now, a lot of people say that Jeff looks like a gay pirate. And those people are right. I once watched him blow a guy for 20 doubloons.
going for less fuckable Forrest Gump. Jake actually has to wear a Apple Watch at all times. It's not a regular Apple Watch. It's just like a Timex that reminds him to stop staring at people's Adam's apples. He's a freak. He's a weird little guy. That's a joke.
Jeff, your voice. That sounds like someone deflated Squidward. Oh my God. You might be getting to me, man. Jeff, you look like a barista that draws child porn in the latte foam. Hold on, there's a shiny Pikachu.
Yeah, that is good. When Jake's not busy using echolocation to find his dinner, or thinking about his happy place, a corn maze, you can find him coming without an expression. Just all knuckles. Only knuckles.
So you subscribe to my channel. You're a freak.
That's a joke.
Hey Jeff, if you're here, who's out front of a Lady Foot Locker protesting?
If you're here, oh, okay, finish it.
No. I was just gonna call you a Lady Foot Licker. That was nice.
If you're here, who's strangling a cat just to count its lives?
If you're here, where were you on the night of August 9th, 1969 during the murders of Sharon Tate and Rampart South?
At home watching my little girls do their good work. All right. Is it, yeah, my turn? Okay. When Jake grows up, he wants to be a coat hanger. So he can finally see a vagina. You're supposed to have an old glass. He's an old freak. He's a weird little guy.
Jeff is a bisexual photographer, which means he has cameras set up in both the men's and women's restrooms.
Jake's gonna be like the first serial killer who took all the victims' lives just because he thought there'd be like a toy prize inside the victim's box, you know? It's a cereal joke. Yeah, cereal, yeah. There's a prize inside the serial killer vibes. Why do I make it loud?
I didn't hear one more joke.
Jake's got that dog in him. That dog's retarded.
Jeff, you look like what would actually happen if a teenage turtle grew up in a sewer.
Mine was better.
Overtime. Jake, we're gonna go first in this one. Let's get a chant going. Battle, 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 battle. Jeff was molested as a child, which makes sense. I mean, look at that body.
Jake told the guy that molested me where I slept, and so I was really fucking. I'm telling a joke. Oh, okay. Jake looks like he has two gay dads named Phineas and Ferb.
Number one battle this week. You know, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's really interesting the different contexts you watch these battles in. We sent out 7 ballots. I believe Denver was number 1 on 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were like 5 or 6 on the other 3.
I can see why.
And you know what? And when I watched, they were number 1 on my ballot. When I watched, I'm going to say this to all the cities. If you just fix your audio, it's going to make a world of difference. That battle, when I watched it on my laptop with headphones in, I was like, this is hilarious. This is incredible. I heard every word. There were little asides in there that watching here in the studio couldn't even pick up on. It was just like, you know, playing out of like the speakers here in the studio. I'm begging everybody, get your sound fixed. Get it off of the soundboard. For the love of God. Because really, back to back with New York, it also matters what you know, order you watch them in. If you watch that and it's not back to back with New York, you have 2 different thoughts. When you watch them back to back, I'm going to come out and say it, watching it back, I thought New York had the better battle this week.
I mean, that was wild just to see that. And that was my whole thing. I was like, God, I bet this was because it went to double overtime. So I'm assuming, I was going to ask, like, did this only go to number 1 because it got double overtime and it seemed like the crowd was so into it? Because on my phone, I did watch this. I was like, this is ill. You can hear everything.
Okay, so okay, good.
Laptop, you can see it. This is ill. But 60% of the people who tune into this show, tune into our battles on Thursday, TV's like this. So it's coming at, it's just coming out like that. So I couldn't hear anything, dude. I was like, Stonic's had too much bass in his voice.
Yeah.
You know, to Pizza. I mean, it was even his fault. Honestly, it was the sound, man.
And that's also like, that's a noisy venue. Right? Wide Right is a noisy venue, both good and bad. Those crowds are like super. That was the most fun crowd I think we had the entire week. That crowd was incredible. But also like there's like chatter and stuff like this that's tough. I feel bad because they're in this crazy run and I watched this battle and again, 7 people on the ranking committee this week and 4 of them had it as number 1. So I know I'm not crazy. And you watched it.
And I watched
you
it.
Saw
It was awesome. Yeah, that's why I was like, oh, this is a great number 1. But yeah, watching it in here, I'm like, I can't even fake it.
So depending, yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. Where our reactions are on there.
Yeah.
I can't sit here and just be straight faced through 90% of it and be like, God damn, these guys are killing. So you know that's the explanation. Depending on what device you watch this on, you either loved that battle or you were pissed at us the whole time. Like, how the fuck did that get number 1? Anyway.
I mean, that was great. The Pizza obviously always has great jokes. Jeff Superstonic is becoming a favorite of mine. He's got this Brandon Kiefer, Johnny Depp, and Pirates of the Caribbean vibe to him. He's just got this. He does have this really laissez-faire, I'm gonna fuck everybody in this room vibe.
Yeah. He's between him and Phil Corridor. You know, they're both kind of characters, and I feel like in roast battle, like oftentimes characters are like cool until they go up against like really good joke writers, like a Tapitza or a Gilliland or somebody like that. But in Denver, they have their own thing going on. They have their own vibe in Denver that they're really figuring out. You know what I mean? Where it's like these characters, the location, it all kind of meshes perfectly, and it's kind of like, you know, it's just a different energy, and it's almost more of like a WWE type of thing where it's like, you know, these guys are personalities in addition to just being really good joke writers. Like even Gilliland and Tapitza have their own kind of like characters going on. Like,
Jake, Spaghetti Jake.
I mean, obviously. And then
Evan Joe,
Evan Joe is their champion. He's a total character, and you know, Ashley NG, the perpetually pregnant Ashley NG, been pregnant forever. It's the whole, you know, she's the pregnant one. And,
she is.
Yeah, I mean, I really, really love what they're doing. I did want to take a look at this just to put into context what they have done this season. These are the America West standings at the end of week 11, and these are the ones at the end of week 15. You see after week 11, Denver in dead last with 8 points.
Damn.
LA, the Bay Area, LA, Austin at that point, Bay Area, and Denver was what we had at the end of week 11. Denver with 8 points, you know, 14 and a half just out of even being in the conversation. 4 weeks later, they jump up to 35 and a half points.
That's literally in the span of a month.
It's in the span of a month. And all of a sudden, they are one good week away from overtaking the Bay Area and moving into the second spot, which is absolutely crazy. I feel bad for Austin. If you look at The last place finishers in every other division, 0 points, 3 points, 3 points. And then Austin has 31.
Dude, that West is crazy. That's like the Western Conference in the NBA. Like that's a slugfest.
Yeah. And what Denver's doing now is the equivalent to like a 20-game win streak. You know what I mean? In another sport. Like they have absolutely put themselves back in the race. Obviously, LA just kind of keeps trucking along and is in first. But like if Denver can put together another month like this, you know, all of a sudden this becomes a conversation.
Yeah, Bay Area. We were just talking about you earlier, the JJ Wack rat and the Tokyo of the world. Now you got Denver nipping on your heels.
Yeah.
Stay focused, Deep.
Yeah.
Stay focused, Raphael. Stay focused, Josh Means.
I love to see it because, you know, Denver was one of those cities we talked a little bit earlier about the cities that like really take this thing seriously. And Denver before week 11 was asking like, they were asking publicly on their thing, like, what do we have to do to get better? They just wanted to get better at this, and all of a sudden it was like overnight. They did it.
4 weeks. That's crazy,
Yeah,
you guys.
but they
Great
put
work.
a lot of effort into making it happen. And congratulations to them.
Shout out Denver.
That's the main takeaway. Let's take a look at the actual standings before we get out of here. We just saw the West standings, Denver jumping ahead of Austin into that third spot. In the East, New York extends their lead over Chicago. Chicago coming in 8th this week. You can see their battle dropping tomorrow on the RBL Patreon, along with 2 other ones, including Montreal. We haven't seen a lot of Montreal this season. They came in number 10. Their battle will be on Patreon tomorrow. But in the East, it is New York extending their lead on Chicago. And also, New York now 2 points behind LA for the number 1 overall seed. What's funny to you?
Atlanta.
I know.
Cleveland, thank you. You do it. You do it every week. You guys really try to get in there. Atlanta, come on. This is absurd at this point. Everybody's got. Even Australia got in.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
The less said, the better. Let's look at the international division right now. In the West, you have Scotland picking up 3 points, extending their lead on Toronto. It was a big week for the international East. This is the one I want to talk about. Every participant in the East picking up points this week. London, by virtue of Ken Grinnell going over to Scotland,
KG.
Stealing some points on the road. But look at that race between Manchester and Tokyo. It gets a little bit tighter every time.
I like the IE. The international West needs some work to do. Barcelona, get back in there. Toronto, I see you. And obviously Scotland. You guys are perennial winners there. You guys are the Yankees of the IW, but the IE, man, that is fun work in there, especially Tokyo. I'm glad to see you. London, you're always a threat. You're like the Warriors. You're always a threat to win at any time. It doesn't matter how much anybody's ahead. You have the depth. And then Manchester, toxic Manchester. Big fans. Love your work. Keep it going.
That is, yeah. There's not much else to say, man. Manchester, Tokyo, it's becoming a really good race. I would love to see London get back in the race. Feel like we've taken that for granted all season. Like, oh, once London gets cooking, well, get cooking. Still got a lot of time left, though. I'm excited. July 21st, All-Star Game coming up at the Mothership. Tickets are available, maybe sold out by now. I'm not even sure. Make sure you're following us on all social media. Me on Instagram at RBL Commish, us at Roast Battle. Check out that Patreon. I appreciate the community so much. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make that a really cool, fun community place. I have nothing else. You?
We drop on Tuesdays, new battles on Thursdays. Patreon drops Monday. Just dropped yesterday. We're out. Let's roast.